Good evening everyone. Welcome to Sosana IS Academy. In the last few days, we are seeing the 4 labor codes that are on to implementation. These are important for our prelims as well as mains exam. So let us now understand these 4 labor codes. One is wages code, industrial relations code, social security code, and occupational safety and health conditions of workers code. These codes came into force. These codes were passed in 2019 and 2020, but they were notified now. Before that, we need to understand few important things regarding the Indian economy, the workers, and also the informal workers. Then we will understand why there is necessity for this codes. So first, if we see, before independence, before these 4 labor codes, we used to have 29 different laws. Industrial Disputes Act, Trade Unions Act, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Factories Act 1948. All these acts were age old. And at that point of time, our Indian economy is mostly the government controlled and it is mixed economy. There is no private participation in that economy. At that point of time, the labor safety and security is up to the government and there is more protection for labor. But at the same time, in the Indian economy, we have understood it has led to lot of red tapeism. It has led to more informalization of economy as we are moving, as our goal is of socialistic pattern or socialistic economy. After 1990, we have gradually shifted to capitalism. We have shifted to liberalization, privatization and globalization. Slowly our Indian economic regulations changed. For example, what is the investment that needs to come from the foreign sector? Foreign Exchange Regulation Act to Foreign Exchange Management Act we have shifted to, and we have delicensed lot of industries. But now, after these many years, we are shifting to a new paradigm, that is the labor laws regularization, to create a standard for the factories, for the companies, and to create the standards across India throughout all union territories and states in the case of employment, in the case of entrepreneurship, in the case of ease of doing business. The primary aim of these 4 labor codes is formalization of economy, to shift Indian economy from informal sector, because we know that there are 55 crores of workers in India. Out of this 55 crores of workers, 47 crores of workers are informal workers, and our economy GDP is $4 trillion right now. In that $4 trillion of GDP, the amount of the GDP which is contributed by the manufacturing sector is less than 20%. And we know that manufacturing sector is having the huge potential to attract lot of labor and also create lot of employment, that is blue collar economy. And because of digitization from 2015 onwards, because of Aadhaar digitization, and we are seeing a lot of changes like AI right now, where there is a lot of frictional unemployment because of AI. Having said, because of all these changes, we need to have a proper standard in our economy to create jobs and also to create security to the people who are employed in these jobs. So what we need is not rigid laws, the rigid laws we used to have before liberalization, privatization and globalization. We want flexible jobs, because the jobs that are getting created right now in this digitalized world are for a short period of time. there is more demand for the gig workers in the economy for different kinds of sectors, be it textiles, be it textiles, be it leather, be it tobacco industry, be it jute industry, be it agriculture, any kind of industry. For example, for the matter of the fact, it can be the food processing industry also. In all these sectors, there is a requirement of labor to be employed for a short amount of time. So there is less need for more formal workers. I mean, formal workers means who can be employed for a longer period of times, many years and decades. That is what under the law the fixed or permanent employment is. So right now the jobs that are getting created in the economy is not something to be conceived. Those jobs are getting created naturally, so we require laws for those kind of jobs. At the same time, there should be flexibility for the employers to employ people at their will. That is what generates lot of income to the country. That is what sustains the economic activity, and moreover, it creates lot of foreign investments that comes to India based on the ease of doing business, based on how the labor can be utilized, based on how flexible the working of the economy is. So in order to create this flexibility, and also in order to create proper structure, flexibility, and also security is important. See, we are seeing Swiggy, we are seeing Zomato, where a lot of gig workers, gig economy is getting created, but all these people who are employed on a contractual basis, who are employed for just a short period of time, and they are thrown away, they are fired away without any security benefits for them. So that should not be the order of the day in the 21st century of our India, for our future India, and we are going towards the developed India by the year 2047. By keeping all this in mind, we need to have flexicurity in the economy, where there should be security for the workers and there should be flexibility for the employers also, or companies also, so that economic activity can be created. At the same time, security can be created for all people. So basically, the age-old laws which we have seen before the independence, which were framed at the time of independence, were now being shaped into the laws which are structural, which are formalized, which are digitalized, and they are to be implemented across all the social sectors, be it migrant workers, be it the women, be it transgenders, be it the domestic workers, migrant workers. All these people will have same kind of security, same kind of minimum wages throughout India, so that the market will be formalized. And moreover, even when the flexibility is created, when there is single window clearance is created, the companies also will have less burden to prove themselves, less burden to carry out day-to-day operations of them. So there will be more formalization. Lot of MSMEs which are there in the informal sector, most of our informal sector consists of MSMEs, and that is where 80% of the people, the informal workers, are concentrated in. And if we are able to utilize this labor codes, if they are implemented throughout all the states with whatever the union brought in, then what will be created is a simple economy, simpler rules, and more formalization with the help of digitalization will be created, and more unified labor regulation is created, which will reduce the disputes and it will create more investments into the economy. That is a basic primary aim of this 4 labor codes which were brought in 2019 and 2020, and right now they are getting notified from the 21st November 2025. That's the reason why we need to know about these labor codes. And we know that in 2024 the UPSC have asked the question regarding merits and demerits of the 4 labor codes. So let us now understand what are these labor codes, what are the provisions, what are the things that are changed in this labor codes, what are the impact, challenges, and what will be the way forward. Okay, so first we need to understand, before there are 29 different laws, and these 29 different laws consist of 84 different types of registrars for the companies to register it creates a lot of red tapeism, it creates a lot of informalization into the economy, it creates lot of informalization in the economy, and there are 181 forms that needs to be filled by a company. So it is an impediment to the ease of doing business. The bigger companies can actually do it because they have that capacity and money to do all that registrations. But all these rigid procedures, complex procedures will impact MSMEs. Because of these procedures, MSMEs always try to limit their employees to less than 100 because they don't need to fulfill all these requirements. So these laws themselves have created informalization in the economy. So basically what these 4 labor codes are saying is, we will create a national single window system where with one single license, where with one single registration, basically anyone can operate their company or a factory, so that ease of doing business will be created and they will be formally inducted into the economy. So government also will have a data, and based on how much employees they have, based on that they will enforce the minimum wage codes, they will enforce the social security benefits like hiring and firing. All these things will be properly digitalized into a system in every state. But before that, we also need to remember that labor is under a concurrent list. It means the union can create laws and also state as well can create the laws. But these labor codes have structuralized all the different provisions which were there before under 29 different laws. They were concretized, they were changed that can suit to the present economy, so that both employers will be benefited and also labor can be benefited. Overall it will benefit the economy. So we can see that there are nearly 1436 provisions in all these 29 laws. But here in the 4 labor codes, basically we'll just have 456 provisions. Total 456 provisions will be there. It is very easy for the different type of companies, be it the service sector, be it the manufacturing sector, can comply into this structured provisions. Employees can understand it. There will be more awareness that can be generated with the less provisions. Employers also needs to have a good clarity so that they also can implement these labor codes. Okay, so basically employees and employers education is required, is must and should into understanding these 4 labor codes that are divided for all the workers that have all different kinds of sectors into place. Even this 4 labor codes covers the gig economy also, but there is a possibility for UPSC to ask a question, what kind of labor codes are applicable to the gig workers? What is full term employment, what is a fixed term employment, and what is a contract employment? These are the small nitty-gritties we are going to discuss in this lecture. Okay, so now what is happening? All these are removed, like 181 forms. You don't need to, any company don't need to fill this forms, and 31 separate returns must be filed at the end of their business activity. That is changed to 1 registration, 1 license and 1 electronic return. Basically what it is saying? It is saying that the all manufacturing activity needs to be digitalized, need to be recorded or documented. More simplification of all these laws, simplification of procedures, digitalization, documentation, and more. When all these are simplified, digitalized and documented, what will happen? There will be more formalization, and we can also track our employment and unemployment records in a better way. For a longest amount of time we could not track what is the exact employment that Indian economy is capable of, and we know that See, one more thing I wanted to say is, from the time of independence, our unemployment rate is always between 4 to 10%. It's not so huge. The problem is not about unemployment. The problem is about the employed poverty. We have employed poverty. What is employed poverty means? Employed poverty means though there is employment for the people, they are not given proper wages. There is no proper system that can safeguard these workers, and there are no rules that are equal for all different types of sectors in the economy, micro, small and medium enterprises. So this employed poverty is what is going to get addressed if these 4 labor codes are implemented. Having said that, there are challenges that we need to address as well. States need to implement, and states need to further enforce the bylaws, make the by rules, and there can be more problems that can be coming into the future while we are making further rules for the gig economy. So having said that, let us go into the provisions of these 4 labor codes. One is Wage Code 2019, and this Wage Code 2019, it replaces the Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Bonus Act 1965 and Equal Remuneration Act 1976. So these are the acts that are basically getting replaced, and this Wage Code basically addresses the universal minimum wage for all employees, organized and unorganized. There will be equal wages for all people, for contractual, for fixed term employment, where an employer hire an employee for a short period of time. For him, the minimum wage would be same. Even if it is formal or informal, domestic workers or migrant workers working in the other state, they all will have a floor basic wage which is decided by the union government, and that is where the question of the minimum wages to living wages will come. The decent wages that every worker requires. And that is the idea of our constitution, and that is the duty under DPSPs for the state also. Like articles 41 and 42 talks about the decent wage and proper working conditions for the workers, and also the safety of the workers, all the DPSPs talk about. So there will be the basic floor wage which is decided by the government, and the state governments can add upon this basic wage that will be implemented throughout the states. Why? Because the labor is under the concurrent list, okay, but they need to follow whatever the union government law is. All the states need to formalize. And one more thing, it's not that it is new, all these or some of these provisions are mostly implemented after 2020 and 2019, when all these 4 labor wages, all these 4 labor codes came. But the implementation is not uniform. Now, because these 4 labor codes are notified, the implementation will become uniform. All the states need to follow a standard pattern, and basically there are most of the provisions which were even there before these 4 labor wages, like there should be equal pay for a woman, all these things are there. But now most of the rules are written rules. Before there are unwritten or unsaid rules. Now what is happening is the rules are changing from de facto to de jure, okay. So there will be less ambiguity for employees to implement certain rules or not to implement. There will be less ambiguity, there will be less control over what to implement and what not to implement, and uniform system will be created throughout the India so that laborers can get benefited. So there will be security for the laborers, and there will be more investments, there will be more predictability to the Indian economy. So gender neutral pay is the important thing. It has been there, but now it has become de jure. So same wage needs to be paid to the women, and even transgenders also, if they are recruited, there should be benefits for them in the organized or unorganized sector. Timely wage payments, there should not be delay in the payments. That is a very important thing, and it should be told especially in the private sector employments, all the salaries needs to be dispersed between 1 to 7th or 1st to 7th every month. There should not be delays. Okay, there should not be unauthorized cuts in the salaries. Unauthorized deductions are not allowed in the salaries. There will be single wage framework for simplicity and compliance. That single wage framework will be decided by the government. That depends upon the inflation in the economy. That depends upon the needs of the Indian economy, purchasing power of the people, many other things that the government will decide for all different types of workers in India. We need to understand these differences, that is fixed term employment. Fixed term employment is same as permanent. What is permanent employment? You are recruited for till the time you are alive, like in the government sector employment, whereas fixed term employment is almost same like a permanent employment, but it will be there till you are there will be an offer letter given to every worker. Even in the unorganized or organized sector, there will be offer letter. In that offer letter, the timeline will be given. If there is no proper timeline, on what basis a person can be removed, what are the conditions for the person to be fired, what is the notice period, how after the notice period what kind of salary needs to be paid. Suppose if a worker is not following certain conditions or the conditions that are set by the factory or the company, then how to retrench the worker, how to fire the worker, after firing the worker what kind of money to be paid, all these things are written. So there will be less ambiguity, there will be proper structure, and moreover all the workers can ask for what they need. There will be equal clarity for both employees and employers. So even in the private sector employment, be it formal or informal, there will be regularization of entire process of employment. So there will be less disputes between employers and employees. That will reduce the burden on the courts as well. Okay, so wages code, there will be minimum wages that are applicable for the fixed term employment also, and there will be provident fund, employee state insurance will be there. There will be gratuity. Gratuity is nothing but based on how much ever you worked, based on how many months or years you have worked, some kind of lump sum will be paid to you at the end of your work. That is called as gratuity. Gratuity, before under Payment of Gratuity Act 1976, for every employee who have worked beyond 5 years, there will be gratuity that is paid. Right now, it is just 1 year. If you just worked for 1 year, any kind of employment it is, even if it is fixed term employment or a short period of time which is hired by the company, where a person is hired by the company, after 1 year gratuity can be paid. No need of 5 years. That is one more change that this labor codes have brought in, especially the wages code. Okay, so there will be minimum wages that are applicable here as well, and gratuity will be given after 1 year. So there will be more job security, and the flexibility is low. Flexibility to remove this provident fund, all these will be low. Then gig worker is a platform based, like Swiggy, Zomato, Uber. There are many platforms. These platforms are based on digitalization. They are hired based on the economic activity that is created. They are hired on very volatile basis. There is no permanency in their employment. They are treated as partners but not as proper employees in the company. So they don't have huge benefits. There is no minimum wage. This is where prelims question can come from. So the minimum wage under the wages code 2019 is there for contract workers, organized and unorganized sectors, fixed term employment, full term employment, migrant workers. For everyone there is minimum wage code, but for the gig workers who are not treated as employees, there will be limited application of the benefits. But we need to understand these gig workers were covered under Social Security Code. Under this, provident fund contribution out of whatever they are paid, out of the basic pay, there is PF contribution from the platform, there will be PF contribution from the companies which operationalize this gig economy, there will be insurance, there will be other social security schemes that will be uniformly provided. Before, it is based upon employer, and moreover it is also based upon the state to enforce certain conditions on the gig economy, like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, we have seen them. But here, in any kind of state, there will be uniform application of these safety and social security mechanisms for all gig workers in the country. But there are no minimum wages because they are not treated as employees in the gig economy. Okay. So there will be no gratuity because gratuity is given based on the wages. Here there are no minimum wages that are discussed for gig workers. So basically that gratuity is not eligible. So there is no gratuity, there is no minimum wages for gig workers, that we need to understand even after implementation of 4 labor codes. So there will be flexibility. This flexibility is in the terms of employer. Here flexibility for employer is low. He needs to contribute to the provident fund. See, out of total salary, 0.75% of salary will be contributed by the employee to provident fund. Basically 3.25% will be contributed by the employer while recruiting the employee to the provident fund. These are the fixed one. In the provident fund, employee insurance, where you will be provided maternity leave, where you will be provided insurance for accidents, all this will be covered in this. But here in the platform based work or gig workers, this will not be applicable. There will be more flexibility to the employer, they might or they might not. But this, in the social security wise, there is the employers or the platform based workers need to implement certain measures universally throughout India, but not on the minimum wages, and the rules will be framed now, and all states need to implement those rules, and they can change the rules or add some more provisions, but not delete the provisions that are discussed by the union government or given by the union government. So contract worker is basically for a short period of time, just like fixed term employment, but he is recruited indirectly by a contractor. Here also provident fund, insurance, all these are applicable. There are minimum wages here as well. There is gratuity is possible here also. Job security is low because they are recruited on the contractual basis. Flexibility is also somewhat better here, not like the gig worker. So we need to understand these differences, and for the first time, who is an employer, what is a traditional employment called, who is an employer, who is an employee, who is a gig worker, who is a fixed term employee, who is a contractual worker. All these are defined in these 4 labor codes. Okay. Then the next one is Industrial Relations Code. This Industrial Relations Code 2020 basically subsumes Trade Union Act, Standing Orders Act and Industrial Disputes Act. So basically here the fixed term employment are the direct contracts. Contracts means you are recruiting a person for a short period of time. It can be 6 months to 1 year or 2 years, but for a shorter amount of time till you require. Basically right now the economy is moving towards creating goods for a shorter amount of time based on demand, where employers also needs flexibility in recruiting the workers. So in all these kind of employment, so in manufacturing sector or textile sector, the flexibility is the need of the hour for the economy to grow. So we cannot have the rigid laws. If there are rigid laws, there will be more there will be more red tapeism, there will be more laws that are bypassing of laws we can see, and there will be no proper security for the workers also, proper safety and working conditions also. And moreover, in all these different types of employment, minimum work every week is fixed. 48 hours of work is the maximum work, not minimum, maximum work that a person will be authorized to do. If a person is working beyond 48 hours, double payment must be paid to that person if he is working beyond a particular time period, that is more than 48 hours. That 48 hours can be divided into 6 days in a week or 5 days in a week, that is up to the employer and employee, but maximum work is 48 hours. So these kind of rules and laws are very important for the economy right now for it to develop, and there will be predictability created, there will be uniform standards created throughout the economy. So layoff or retrenchment threshold, here understand this. Before government, government says if a factory has less than 100 workers, they don't need to follow any rules, they can fire and hire workers based on their like and dislikes, and there are no proper security measures provided to the workers also. But right now that 100 workers are increased to 300 workers, which create more flexibility. It means a small company or a micro enterprise or a medium enterprise or small enterprise can hire up to 300 workers, and these 300 workers can be fired, they can be given a basic salary, and if they are recruited for more than 1 year, a gratuity can be paid, but the basic salary what they need to be paid is at least out of the cost to company. There is a metric called as cost to company, where employer will invest total amount of money on a particular person after getting employed, that is cost to company. In that total cost to the company, suppose if a person is employed for, let us say 10 lakhs, if he is employed for that, 50% of that 10 lakhs should be basic pay, should be counted under basic pay. And based on that basic pay, basically the provident fund, basically the insurance, all these will be calculated. Before, what companies used to do? Before, companies used to reduce the basic pay. They used to put the basic pay less than 5 lakhs, and they used to add lot of allowances, so that they know, so that if the basic pay is less, all the provident fund or insurance will be calculated based on the less amount of basic pay. Like the provident fund will be based on 3 lakhs rather than 5 lakhs. If basic pay increases, there will be provident fund contribution that should be increased from the side of employer. That is the reason why almost all the employers or the owners of the companies used to reduce the basic pay and used to give salaries in the name of allowances. Okay, right now out of total CTC, 50% should be counted as basic pay, and on that basic pay the provident fund needs to be calculated, and there should be employer contribution, and the dearness allowance also will be 50% of the basic pay. So these are the basic rules that are brought now, where all the companies, all the sectors, organized or unorganized, need to follow all this. But if there are less than 300 workers, they can be fired, but the minimum wage is same. The provident fund provisions, social security provisions, even if they are hiring less than 300 workers, they need to follow all this. Okay, the only thing, even if they are employing these workers for more than 1 year, they are pressurized, or they are put to give the gratuity to these people. Okay, so these are some of the important things we need to know. Government approval limit raised from 100 to 300 workers. State can increase that. Minimum, if there are 300 workers, all the companies need to follow rules and they'll come under the formal economy. Okay, it leads to more formalization because this less rules, like 100 workers, led to more informality here. But here what we need to understand is lot of trade unions say it will basically increase the hiring and firing in the economy, because 300 workers can be fired easily. It means from 100 to 300 it will increase. But also what the government is saying is, when this threshold is increased from 100 to 300, there will be more formalization in the country, and there will be regularization of jobs, and there will be proper security measures given. So even more jobs that are included under the definition of worker. Before, the sales, promotion, staff, journalists, supervisors, all these people were excluded to be called as employees in any company in the media. Now if they are earning equal to or more than 18,000 per month, they also need to be counted as employee or worker in a company, and he needs to be provided all the benefits like gratuity, provident fund. He needs to be given the basic pay. Basic pay is same for all the people throughout all the sectors, but not for the gig economy. Okay, so basic pay, provident fund, and all the benefits like maternity benefits, whatever the employee state insurance corporation gives under insurance, all that benefits will be given to that particular employee. Okay, so there is wider workers also are included under traditional employment, and for fixed term employment also gratuity will be counted after 1 year. And moreover, if an employer, suppose if an employee is recruited for 1 year and after 1 year he is going and working in some other company, there will be Aadhaar linked or proper universal account number will be given to that person who is a worker. Even if a person leaves the company after 1 year and go and work in the other year, his insurance will be counted and counted into a same account number, and he can access that even after he leaves the company for after 1 year of his work. He can continue his insurance elsewhere throughout his lifetime. It is not like only that you are breaking into different companies in different years, so there will be no continuation of social security. There will be continuation of contribution in social security from different employers for a worker with the universal account number. Okay, that is also one important initiative that the government have brought under this 4 labor wages, 4 labor codes. Then Code on Social Security 2020. It subsumes 9 laws, mainly the Employees Compensation Act 1923, even before independence it was there, Maternity Benefit Act 1961, EPF, ESI, Provident Fund, Insurance, Gratuity, and Unorganized Workers Act. What are the provisions? All these are laws which are subsumed under Code on Social Security. The code provisions are: universal social security includes unorganized gig workers and platform workers. There will be uniform social security. There will be universal account number given to every worker. Wherever he works after 1 year or less than 1 year, if he is moving from different jobs to jobs, if he is moving from different states to states, his scheme of insurance will be continued from a different employer from a different time period or next year. Okay, ESIC expansion applies pan India. There is no notified area. It is therefore throughout all areas in the country. They are not territorial limited. Okay, EPFO coverage, broader applicability, allows voluntary enrollment. Under EPFO, almost all the workers are covered under it, and it allows voluntary enrollment. See, employers and employees can provide awareness, and there should be more clarity. We have discussed this. Employers need to have more clarity on this laws, and employees need to have awareness so that they can join voluntary also. National Social Security Board will be created for gig and platform workers and for their benefit, and there will be welfare schemes for them, because there is no minimum wages. No minimum wages, there is only social security. So there will be social security board that will be created. How? Because these workers will be working without proper conditions. They will always be working outside. There is no proper establishment for them. They need to travel, like logistics they need to do, and there can be potential of accidents, lot of things that can come up. So there is security for them, social security, that will be given by the platform, that can be given by the digitalized platform, that can be Zomato or Swiggy or whichever the platform it is. They need to contribute. And how they will contribute? There is a framework for it. 1 to 2% of total turnover of a company. 1 to 2% of total turnover of a company must be put into the welfare fund. They need to put aside every year, and they need to give this welfare fund to the gig workers out of the total profits that a company got. And all these companies say that they are not impacted by these rules. We will understand, there is a second video of it. We will understand how the gig economy can get shifted, how it will impact the consumers also. We will discuss in the other video. But for now, understand 1 to 2% of the total turnover of profits, total turnover must be dedicated to the gig workers, or 5% of total cost or money paid to gig workers need to be set aside, and it is up to 5% of whatever they pay throughout a year to the gig workers. Up to that 5% cap need to be put aside for their welfare. These are the provisions related to the gig economy and aggregators and platforms, the digital platforms where they employ the temporary workers. Okay, so occupational safety and health and working conditions. The most important thing is, even the women are allowed to work in the night time. But if a employer is employing only one worker, and if he is made to do a dangerous or hazardous work, all different conditions like minimum wages, gratuity, all these things can come up. He needs to not have 300 workers in order to implement all the rules and regulations like a formal company. Even if one worker in the hazardous workplace need to get all the benefits. That is very important. Provision in this code 2020. Okay, it subsumes a lot of different acts like Plantation Labor Act, Factories Act, Mines Act, Contract Labor, Interstate Migrant Workers and Dock Workers Act. And there will be annual health checkup for all the workers. And suppose if the workers are having the age beyond 40 plus, they obviously need to have the health checkup. They need to give the free health checkup for the workers who are aged beyond 40, be it formal company or informal company, be it informal work or formal work. Hazardous work coverage. Government may apply code to any establishment even with one worker engaged in a risky and hazardous activities. And there will be common license for factories, contract labor and migrant workers. So there will be unification, there will be digitalization of all the workers' records, and there will be stronger safety norms. There will be fixed, clear standards for working hours. There are no clear standards before. Throughout formal employment used to have that standard fixed working hours, but in the informal sector there are no fixed working hours, and there is no minimum wage that is paid to everyone. Now what is the need of the hour that these labor codes have addressed? There will be minimum wages for everyone. There will be equal pay in line with the DPSPs for everyone. there will be equal pay, and moreover there will be there will be maximum amount of work that a worker will do across different sectors, that is 48 hours, and if he is working beyond that 48 hours, he needs to be paid double, and there should be salaries that needs to be dispersed to every worker between 1 to 7 dates in a particular month. Within 1 week, salary must be disbursed, and moreover there will be gratuity in most of the cases that should be given, even if a worker is just working for 1 year, okay, and he can be continued later also, and there will be universal account number so that he can continue his social security across different employers if he is working in the private sector, and that goes well with fixed term employment, contractual employment, and there is no discrimination across any gender, okay. So there will be unified licenses, and it is implemented across even the migrant workers. There will be health checkups. There are a lot of different rules that needs to be followed by the employers in the country. So what are the important highlights overall of all these 4 labor codes are: appointment letters must be there so that the conditions will be laid out for employment, and there are proper terms and conditions that are easily visible, can be negotiated, can be taken for grievance redressal in the courts also if there is that contract not adhered to by either employer or employee, and it will reduce the disputes also if there is a written agreement. So appointment letters are not just letters, there will be lot of conditions that are put, like how much notice period that a person can give, when he needs to leave the company, on what basis he can be fired. It will be useful for the employees only or the laborers only in this case. Then working hours, this is also useful for the workers. Provident fund, insurance, all these will be applicable for all different types of workers, including gig workers. Gig workers also have this. There will be statutory minimum wage payment that we have discussed, and basically the idea is government slowly will convert that minimum wages that a person will require to how he can live in country where there is growing economy and inflation. So there will be national floor minimum wages. Women also can work throughout the night, even in the underground mining sector, women can work in the night also, okay. Then there is pan-India insurance coverage, there will be universal account number, people can shift the jobs but their security of insurance will be paid by different employers throughout their lifetime. Then CTC, basic pay and PF. As I have discussed with you, the basic pay out of the cost to company will be 50%. 50% of total CTC must be considered as a basic pay. Suppose if a company is giving you 1 lakh amount of money throughout your employment, out of that 50% will be considered as a basic pay, and based on the basic pay, your PF, your insurance, lot of other things will be calculated, okay. And 50% of dearness allowance will be calculated also on the CTC. So these are the basic changes. Before, what companies used to do, they used to put basic pay very less. They used to calculate 30% as the basic pay in 1 lakh, and based on that 30% they used to contribute the PF, they used to contribute for insurance. So their compliance or their burden, financial burden used to be less. Now the government says, out of whatever you pay, reduce the allowances. Reduce the allowances which you are giving. Reduce the allowances means in the same 1 lakh, you are giving the allowances for 50,000 rupees. You are not considering allowances. you are not naming the money under allowance, rather you are naming the money, that is 50%, to be your basic pay, and based on the basic pay the provident fund and insurance will be calculated, which will be contributed by the employer. But here there can be an impact for employee. If 50% basic pay is calculated, based on the 50%, if PF is calculated, there will be basic pay increase, which will increase the PF also. Okay, so total salary, the take home salary will reduce in a month. It can reduce because basic pay is increasing, PF contribution will increase. Based on CTC only, PF also will be there, right? The PF will be contributed by the person from his salary. So take home salary can reduce, and this impact will be huge on the people who are working for less than 25,000. It will not be huge on people who are working for more salary, but it will be impacting people who are doing less value of jobs. So this can impact the consumption in the country, that can impact in a longer period of time on the economy, on the consumption pattern, but we need to see how this can be adjusted over a period of time. Okay. So retrenchment will be in 45 days. So retrenchment or removing the person will not be there. It will be there after 45 days. 100% will be covered. 100% of workers will be covered. Formal or informal sectors, all workers, formal or informal, almost all the workers will be covered under minimum wages. Okay. Gig and platform workers also will have social security and accident coverage, and there is single registration pan India license will be given for a company or a factory, and there is national single window for all kinds of registrations. So these are certain highlights that that all the 4 labor codes have. Impact, challenges and way forward. The impact can be digitalized, more digitalized economy. The impact can be more ease of doing business. The impact can be more social security that will be provided for all the workers. Minimum living wages can be given for everyone. There can be more foreign investments into the economy because of flexibility that the companies have in hiring. Okay, what are the challenges? The challenges are states needs to implement. There is concurrent list, labor laws are put under concurrent list, so that can be one challenge. Implementation is where the challenge will come from. If there is no proper implementation, there will be more gap between the flexibility and also the security. Employer flexibility and the worker security will be more widened if there is not, if this all laws are not implemented uniformly throughout India. And moreover, the digitalization is also not uniform throughout the rural and urban areas, and also between interstates, between different states. So that also can be a challenging thing in order to implement this 4 labor codes. And moreover, there is in the industrial relations code, there is trade unions. There is a concept of trade unions. Before, the 7% of the workers can form a trade union and they can lobby, negotiate. Here, at least there should, for every trade union, there should be 100 employees, or at least 10% of all the employees need to be forming a group to be called as a trade union, and they are legally recognized. But for a company to negotiate and to reduce their grievances, and if suppose if a same company have 2 or 3 trade unions for their workers, whatever the trade union have 51% of the workers or more than 51% of the workers, that trade union will be called for a negotiating table in order to reduce the dispute between the management and also the workers. Then what will be the views, what will be the concerns of other trade union that have less number of workers within the same company is the question. And moreover, all these trade unions say this will create more flexibility not for the workers but for the management to hire and fire. And moreover, entire all 4 labor wages codes talk about indirectly create more hiring and firing of workers. So that is also one of the criticism in these changes that we can see. So what is the way forward? Way forward is basically how we need to see how it will be implemented, and there should be more awareness that needs to be created for employees, and there should be more clarity for employers also. There should be more proper monitoring, education and transparency, and also all states need to have proper intent for labor codes. So this is the synopsis of all the 4 labor codes. Let us wait and watch how the states are going to implement these codes further.